Brimstone Hill, how majestic you stand. How beautiful are your walls. How beautiful are your scenes. However, the rooms reveal such deep but painful history. History that should not be forgotten. History that others might not want revealed. But history that tells our people how great their ancestors were, the strength they had, the wisdom too. But because of the little publishing access available to them, they couldn't even acknowledge or show that these had been all their accomplishments, but rather had been stolen by some despiteful men. However, your beauty can't be compared because you boast those majestic walls and rich history, of course. Oh, Brimstone Hill, oh, Brimstone Hill, how majestic you stand.
I'm Marlene Phillips-Lee.
And I am Rastam Borokitwano.
Welcome to Culture Beat.
Brimstone Hill Fortress was declared a national park by the government of St. Kitts-Nevis in 1987.
Listed as a World Heritage Site.
Stretching over 40 acres of land.
Let's see what we can find. Brimstone Hill Fortress is mainly built from stone, excavated directly from the hill. In the early 1600s, limestone mortar was used to cement stone buildings.
Large quantities of limestone were needed to construct this three-level fortress, so a quay was built right into the hill. This made it easier to supply the quay with limestone, which was quarried from the surface slopes of the hill.
This is called a continuous or a draw kiln because of its ability to operate continuously. Limestone was fed into the top of the kiln, and these stairs allowed fuel to be added.
Draw holes at the bottom of the kiln were used to remove burnt lime. By alternating the fresh layers of fuel and limestone, the kiln could operate without stopping production of large quantities of mortar, which saved time.
The fort was constructed during the 17th and 18th century by forced slave labor. It actually took more than 100 years to build.
In the year 1690, the British military realized how valuable Brimstone Hill was as a support defense for Charles Fort. They took great measures to fortify the fort by mounting cannons. Now they were ready for anything.
In addition to being a good defense post, the fortress was also a place of safety for wealthy landowners and neighboring villagers during the event of an attack. They would build and reside in their homes behind the fortress walls.
The fort was self-sufficient. It had its own water supply. It had a barracks, workshops, and even a bakery on the premises.
In 1782, the fortress was under attack by 8,000 French soldiers. The British had a military force of less than 1,000 men, but managed to hold the French at bay for an entire month before being taken.
Between 1852 and 1853, Brimstone Hill was no longer a point of strategic interest to the British. It was eventually abandoned by 1854, but its legacy lives on.
Now open to the public as a national park, Brimstone Hill Fortress enjoys an impressive number of visitors each year. With all the attention that it is receiving, the maintenance of the grounds is of great importance.
Because the fortress is centuries old and has survived many hurricanes, it is not without damage. In 1974, an earthquake left cracks in some of the structures, and a stone wall from a ruin dated 200 years old collapsed under the strain of Hurricane George. Mr. Larry Harmony, General Manager of Brimstone Hill National Park, will tell us more about this magnificent fortress.
Presently we are in the restored barrack rooms of the Prince of Wales Bastion, a room that we have adapted to use as a conference banquet facility. The walls themselves, they suffer. You can see some of the walls seem to be eroded, and this is through the atmospheric erosion, the acids and so on in the atmosphere. But it's not really a serious threat. From time to time, we can restore selected walls. The major hazards, I would think, that we have are fire, and fires that are started elsewhere that encroach on the hill and can do a tremendous amount of damage and can threaten buildings. And we also have a problem with graffiti. Many visitors come up here and they write their names and so on the walls, and our staff have to be continually clearing these away. And we have a continuous battle against the vegetation. There are very intense periods of visitation, and we have to control the flow of traffic. As visitation increases, we will have to do something else, and it might involve having a base station at the bottom of the hill and controlling the flow of traffic from there via shuttle service. This is something that we have talked about with the Ministry of Tourism and with taxi operators, and it is something that I can see happening maybe in another 2 years. Many taxi drivers, and indeed others, have approached us from time to time about widening the archways to accommodate larger vehicles. And we have attempted to show that this is a historic heritage site, and the very nature of it is that you don't interfere with the existing structures. Although you might make compromises from time to time, we have, yet there are certain areas, certain issues, and certain structures that you cannot compromise unless you disturb the whole integrity of the place. We always welcome students, school children, and the admission for them is free. There are family reunions that come to Brimstone Hill. There are church groups and social and community groups that come to picnic at Brimstone Hill. We also welcome wedding receptions and indeed wedding ceremonies.
What more do you want to know? Brimstone Hill National Park Fortress is right here on St. Kitts, waiting to show you and your family a good time.
If you're seeking adventure and love to explore, Brimstone Hill is the place for you.
See you next time on Culture Beat.
Write to us at the Department of Culture. We would love to hear from you. I'm Marlene Phillips-Lee.
And I am Rastambora Kitwan.
Saying thank you for joining us.